Alright, so let's go ahead and do this crazy stuff right here. Right, okay, so I'm gonna do that in the same composition because we don't really need that. So let's go to the Fusion page. I'm gonna select all of this and I'm gonna delete everything because we want to do it entirely different thing. Alright, so what we're gonna do is to first of all put down a background nude. Let's just view it. I'm gonna create just one bar, so I just don't really need to use the full 1080p. So I'm gonna go into the image and you're gonna uncheck auto resolution so that it will allow you to change this. If it's on, it's not gonna allow you to change it. Alright, so I'm gonna set it to about the width to about 1/5, set the width to about 50, and then the height 100. Basically, this is what we're getting. That's the bar. It's 50 about 200. I change the background to the color. I'm gonna change the color to the type to gradient, and I'm gonna just do the manual gradient. It gives you this tool here, so I'm gonna bring this one down here. So from dark to bright up there, that's not bad. So I'm going to change the colors quickly. I'm going to choose dark green, and then all the way to the top I'm going to pick a yellow. So that's more like the basic equalizer kind of color range. So I'm going to put a mask on it, and then I'm going to size it up to can basically animate the whole mask from here to here. Basically we're just gonna animate our bar first. So I'm gonna go on to, we want to animate the position Y, and if we right click the center, you can see that it's two values. I think there's something that they should do about it, that you can actually animate the individual values, but the way to go about it is to right click it and then you modify it with a vector result. What it does is it's gonna put a modifier on it. If you go to the modifiers tab, what it's doing is it takes your original position as your pivot, and then it gives you a distance to, this is to offset from the pivot. So that's what the distance is going to do. So if you can see, when I offset it, the origin is still there, but it's giving you another transform nude to offset it. So I'll just offset it about that. But right now it's offset into the X direction, so we can change that by using the angle. So we can choose where it wants to go. So we can set it to like 90, and you can see the angle is pointing up. So the offset, we can now use that as our animation to animate one direction. So let's go ahead and then put some modifier. We don't want to use keyframes, so I'm gonna put in the distance, right click it, and then go to modify, and then I'm gonna choose what can we use? We can use a shake modifier. It's more like, because that equalizer thing is all about shaking, isn't it? So I'm gonna go on the shake, and now when we play it, we can see that it's shaking really high. So we have to play around with some of the values here, the minimum and the maximum values. So we can just start to push them down. Say we'll bring the maximum down so it doesn't go all the way up there, and then we can also set the minimum. The minimum is up to 0, but you can always change that by putting negative value. So I'm going to put -2 to just expand it, to bring it back, and now it gives me the ability to bring it back up. So minimum's there, but just I mean, move it until you get that value that it doesn't show you the bottom pivot. I just wanted to animate from here to here. So let's bring it down a little bit so it can come down a little bit. Now let's reduce the smoothness because it's too slow. By reducing the smoothness, you get it really quick. So I reduce the smoothness. That's not too quick for me. It depends on the beat that you're creating. So now let's use keyframes. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna go to my macros, I'm gonna bring Eric's keyframe down here, I'm gonna pipe it into it. And the problem here is right now we have the size of this to work with, 50 by 200, but we need to work in 1080p. So if we make this on top of this, it's going to create a very big problem. So what I can do before I even pipe into every keyframe, I'm going to put down another background nude, and this background is set to 1080p because the size is 1080p. When I match the original thing on it, and if we view our merge nude here, we can see that now we have a 1080p image with our bar in the center. So what we can do now is to pipe in here. I'm gonna take this and pipe it on top of it, and if you view it, it's gonna give you that size. So now we can put this on top of this and view it together. So we can offset this one here, this merge node here, we can offset it to make a copy of it. So we put it on the 1080p. So now we have two copies, and when we play, they're both playing at the same time. So what we can do is we set this keyframe, we can just trim the in now, so this doesn't start at the same time that the first one is starting. So if you can just few frames, yeah, just to get a difference when you play, see, we get a difference from it. Yes, when you place to that plot, I think it plays and then it stops. They all set to from 11 to 100, so we're just dealing with 100 frames, so it's gonna set it. But also one thing you're gonna do is you have to set the loop on, so it's gonna continue playing so it doesn't stop. Alright, so that's the first copy that we've made, and we're gonna take the same thing, copy it, and now we're gonna paste, pipe in the merge node instead. So when you pipe in the merge node, means we're taking this two, we want to copy this two and make 4 copies of it. So we just put it there and pipe it on top of it again before we pipe it down here. So if you understand what I'm doing, this is our main background, and that's gonna be somewhere here. Let's say that's our final background that's going in there. Alright, so I just took this, put another set of keyframe and put it on top of the same thing. So if I offset this one now, we're gonna get 4 copies of it, and the 4 copies, both of them are, 2 of them are having the same timing and 2 are not. So we can also trim this second one. Can stop playing to see it properly, so we can trim the second one so it also comes with the different, you know. And by the way, our animation is going all the way to negative, so we don't get it at all. That's not cool, so we have to change that. We need to change the minimum and maximum so it doesn't go all the way below. So we just have to bring it up a little bit. Yes, so yeah, that's our minimum. That's cool for a minimum, it doesn't have to go all the way down. So that's it. Oh, now we're having a problem. We should just bring the minimum down a little bit, because all we can do is to increase the mask. Sorry, what we can do is to increase the size of the mask as well, since that's gonna help as well, so it doesn't go all the way down. Yes, that's not bad. Now we're gonna go in and we're gonna go into the mask and adjust the minimum a little bit. Let's come down a little bit. Yeah, so that's cool. So we have that going on, and we also want to set loop for the second one that we created. We want to start from frame 29 double, which is variation of it, right? And that's cool. So you got the first one going on, so we can carry on the same process and make more copies of it. It's as simple as that, nothing fancy. Yeah, so I'm gonna copy again, paste, and again I'm gonna pipe this four bars, and I'm gonna get 8 of them if I put it on top of it again. And if you just take this out and pipe it here and pipe it back in, and then we offset this again, that should give us 8 of them. Alright, so let's play around with this 8. Now they're going all the way here, so we need to offset them to the other side, and that's quite simple. You can achieve that, but just put in down a transform node at the end of it. Put a transform node at the end of it, and then you can shift all of them back in the center, something like that. And you can also even scale them up so you can see them become bigger, however you want it. So basically we can say I can say the spaces are too much, so I could take the first one for instance and then try to bring this space closer, and then take the second one, the spacing is also too much, and then finally the last one we're gonna bring it back a little bit, so we've got good spacing. Alright, so in this one we haven't changed the variation yet. What we can do is the second one we can go in and say the third one we can also offset it a little bit so we get different variation. And one cool thing we can do, even the second one, we can say change it to reverse instead of forward, or forward, and then rather the third one we can change it to reverse, and that gives you another variation over there. So let's see how we're going to create the high notes, that the distortion, like when we hit red. So let's see, it's very simple. So once this procedure, we can just always come back here. So we want to take a mask from here. So what we're going to do is to put down a brightness and contrast node. I'm going to pipe in this background that has already been masked over here, and let's just view it. And what I'm going to do is to put another set of mask on this one, and I'm going to change the brightness and contrast, tell it to include alpha, and I'm going to turn the gain down, so that's what we're subtracting something from it. So right now I'm going to just select the top of it. So I'm gonna go up the way here, so anything that comes within this mask should be considered as red. So what we can do is then to invert the mask to just select only that top bit of it. And now what we can do is, if you look over here, we have selected only this. So if we play, it's only hit red, yellow, and goes. It goes yellow and goes. So what we can do is to change the color of it, and that color we're gonna change. It's gonna be, we're gonna put down with Shift Control and type color gain. You got color gain. If you add it to it, you view the color gain. Let's go to a frame where it's visible, and we can leave red and then turn the reds down. So we only want red. So now what we've done is to create this red, but we're gonna merge it on top of this animation before it goes in there. So what I'm going to do is to connect this to this mesh. So we merge it on top of it, and now we have it, the red on top of it. So we can take this mesh here, and then we can shift it up a little bit, create a space in between them. So we're lifting that bit off. So we're lifting this bit a little bit up, offset it, and that's how to get the red. So whenever it hits to that range, it's gonna get that red functioning over there, and that is cool. And it's all procedure. We don't have to do anything. We just have to go in and change whatever we do. So one of the things I also did to get the different colors is I also put some glow on the red, so that you can also always go in there. If the red is too thick, you can go and reduce the size of that mask and shift it up so you get tiny ones. I also added a glow to the red and increase the glow side and really bump up this one and change it from frame to domain, and that way it's gonna brighten it up a little bit so it stands out. And I'm gonna show you how I did the different coloring. So all these bars, I want some of them to be brighter and others to be normal. So what I did was I put, if you want to do it one on the other, the first keyframe, if you look at the first keyframe, we can have to view it from here. I did that on the second keyframe to differentiate between them. I'm gonna add some effect to it. Let's say add some brightness and contrast to the second keyframe before we pipe it in, and we can gain it up so you can see that it gives us a different set for all these ones, but anything before that is still gonna stay the same. So that's how to get difference. So if I wanted to do every one of them, I could just bring it here and pipe it in this one, the first one, and it's gonna do every one of them. So that's how to get it. So every one of them is gonna get this different effect, and it's all procedure, so animated. Isn't that cool? And we can also go in and say we want to change every one of them color. Then what we can do is we have to look at this first keyframe and see it starts from 11. So I can say that at frame 11, because this one starts from 11, at frame 11 we want to change the color, so we can go to frame 11, there about 10. We can set a keyframe on frame 10 on the color. So we're going to set a keyframe on frame 10 and move on to frame 11, and then we can change some of these colors. Let's say this one's going to be like a blue, and that one's gonna be this color right here. And you can see that it's changing them every 11th frame, and we can even further on move it ahead. If the 11th frame is too much, we can say half of it. So we can go into our keyframes here, timing it. We're going to set it to only show selected, so it's the background's color that we want to change, want to affect. So we can select it and then shift it forward. When we shift it forward, we can begin to see the difference in the, or we can even shift it forward somewhere in the middle there about, yeah. So the more you offset this keyframe of the color, so you can say between 0 and 100 you can set keyframes and change things around. So that's how to get that one sorted out. You can animate it, and then it, because we have offset them, we get the different variation of each of them. Now let's see how we're gonna do the reflection, which is really cool. And the reflection is very simple. So we take, what I did is to take my final output here. So I put a transform, and then I take the whole thing here, copy everything here, the last one, and then I change it, I flip it around, and then I merge it on top of this, the final thing. And now when we view the final thing, we have two stuff. So we can bring our transform that has been flipped, we can bring it down to see what we getting. Oh yeah, one thing I have to tell you, you see in black here because the background, we need to turn the alpha down to 0 so we don't see any kind of black background there. And we can always change our options to check our underlay to black so we can see it properly. So that's the reflection here. Bring it down to the level that you want, thereabout is okay. And then I choose that merge, and then I try to bring down the blend to get some cool blend. And also cool thing you can do is to add a blur to that, reflection. And I'm gonna set the blur to about 4, thereabout. Yes, it's too much, the blur like 2, it's okay. Or you can exaggerate it and get some cool reflections if you want. So I'm gonna leave it about 2, that's okay. So that's it, that's how to do this equalizer. So when you play, you can play around it, you can do a whole lot of cool stuff with it, right, however you want it. And always remember to cache it if you're working in Fusion and Resolve and it's not playing smoothly, you want to go in your timeline, you want to work, you think you're done, I always advise you to put a transform node at the end of your animation where you want to cache it. Right click it, go to cache to disk, and then lock the branch, and then pre-render it, and then voila, you can just go to your edit page. Alright, so that's how to go about it. And it's been Eric. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. And the most important thing you have to do, how to install this tool, macro Eric's keyframes, is very simple. I'm gonna leave instruction in the description of the video to show you how you're gonna install this macro or how you're gonna get it. Just go to my Patreon site, my Patreon page, with the link that's been provided in the description as well, and then you can get the file to download, and then it will tell you where to put it.